Namaste, konnichiwa. It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. Welcome to part 2 of Asian Sundays, or Asia's Sundays, I'm just going to check I'm live on Facebook. It took me a while to think about things to cover, but I'm behind schedule as usual, so I'm going to try and crack on with it. These are pointers number 11 to 20. Hope you enjoy it. And as ever, I'd welcome your suggestions on how you would support Asia and empower Asia, whether that's financially or in whatever other ways. I was just thinking actually when I said that, I suppose religious people would probably say support in a different way, but I'd love to read different people's views on what could be done to support Asia, to benefit Asia as a continent and Asian people around the world maybe as well. For May and June, which I wanted to do in April, but obviously that's already gone. But annually in April, May, June, and possibly past August. So anyway, here goes. So these are pointers number 11 to 20. So number 11, I was thinking, trying to read about words, Google words that begin with SU. So S generally, but especially SU, especially hopefully positive ones, and family-friendly ones, I guess, as well, generally speaking. And I thought of one like, I thought sushi, a little play on words, my little immature humour, but I thought sushi or suha, as in like, or he/her. To be honest, it's my lame attempt at humour, but I mentioned recently that even though there's probably lots of rules in the Bible or even the Quran or other religions, certainly those two monotheistic religions, there's certain things that put me off religion. There's something I think Asians should support. I probably mentioned this a few times. I was wondering whether to mention it later on in the video, but in case I forget, I think Asians should support the religion that invests the most in their community and funds them around the world, especially in Asia itself. Or in terms of Asia, I think those who invest the most into Asia and that kind of thing. Maybe, I mean, the two religions that try and convert people are Islam and Christianity. I think they could support the tackling of poverty and challenges and things like that. And that could be a way they could try to convert people, I guess. But yeah, I'd love to read different people's opinions on like things like people to talk about what makes them think their religion is the right one or whatever. Probably get off on tangents, but even though there's lots of things in religion that put me off, I don't like to change the way God made my natural body, and I don't encourage like people to get piercings, tattoos, gender realignment, or to bleach or change their skin, or basically, and so called basically to artificially change themselves in any way. I say piercings, tattoos, or whatever like that change their body. Although it is a bit of a dilemma because part of me, well, I do want to give you a choice, but it's not something I would encourage, which is obviously my choice, whether to encourage or not. But if that's what they want to do, but so I kind of wish there was less people getting like piercings, tattoos, gender realignment, or things like that, surgery, or things to bleach or change their skin or whatever, artificially. But I think it's different if you like sit in the sun and get suntan or whatever. But I kind of prefer people to be the way that they're naturally made, and some part of me thinks they're playing God if they don't. But yeah, I was thinking about Asian projects. I thought it was a little play on words like sushi, suha, and that kind of thing. And I thought my name in terms of human. Well, that was my name in terms of human in part. But yeah, I love to promote Asian projects generally to help them to get more success. I thought like two words like support and success, but there are probably many others. Let me know with SU. Can you think of any others? Please let me know in the comment if you like. In the comment section if you like. For this one, I'm focusing on the YouTube screen, as I said in part 1, and which I focused on Facebook in part 1, and I'm focused on YouTube 1. Yeah, I think that covers everything. Point number 11. I hope that makes some sort of sense. Point number 12. I'd love to find out more about Asian success stories and what makes people proud to be Asian. What makes Asians proud to be Asian. That kind of thing. Proud to be Asian, but hopefully not in an arrogant or boastful way. That's something they could say like, things that have been invented, made, created, designed, I suppose, same sort of thing, in Asia. Some of the Asian businesses and things like that. So people from Korea could be proud of Samsung. People from Japan could be proud of Fujitsu or some of the cars they made, or Honda. I know. I'm sorry, that's Korean. Cars they've made, or whatever it might be that makes them proud to be Asian. I was singing with Celtic, which I've talked about recently. Maeda, our Japanese player, one of our Japanese players who's been really good. Maybe there's sports stars they're proud of. Maybe there's something that they're proud of, or whatever. Number 13, also at the same time, I suppose, maybe there could be the other side of things, like what makes them things that they're ashamed of, and I suppose addressing those issues and some of the more negative things and scary things about Asia could help to tackle those problems. And number 14 on that note, solving problems. I know that doesn't technically begin with SU, but begins with S. But just to differentiate it with Saturday, I think things that begin with SU on Sundays. But yeah, I'd love to see how they could solve problems. Like, for instance, if a nation in Asia, like India or whatever, struggles with, or Malaysia or India or China or whatever it might be, has some issues with the ease of starting up a business or whatever, things that make it difficult to start a business or to grow a business or whatever it might be, they could look at how to solve those problems. Number 15, I'd love to support Asian ambitions and aims. I guess I was overthinking and fretting or worrying, stressing a little bit about like words that begin with S, but sometimes I mix up a bit. I'm trying to change it. I know I'm a bit obsessed with alliterations, but I was thinking, can I think of that many with SU that are appropriate or applicable to these videos? But yeah, I'd love to support Asians to achieve success with their aims and ambitions and things like that. So that was number 15. Number 16, I'd love for there to be some think tanks and things like that can discuss what are the best ways to help Asian nations to be more successful and to help Asians to be more successful generally in their goals and dreams and that kind of thing. Number 17, also using imagination. And I think that imagination and having fun and enjoying life is really important as well. So I think with success, it depends how you define it. You could define it as financial success, or you could define it as having fun, enjoying life, being healthy. Some might define it as spending time with their family. Some might say not having spent time with family, or whatever it might be. Success could be in sport, in support networks, or whatever whatever you, however you define it. Basically, how would you define success? I'd love to know from people generally, whether you're Asian or not, but especially from Asians, those of Asian descent, and also people in Asia itself, around and across Asia, hopefully. And what do you think are some things about your nation that could be done better? What are some things you dislike or even hate about your nation? What are some of the things you like or even love about your nation? That specific one is more for Asians and in Asia. But I'd also love to know, again, from the diaspora, what some of your experiences in other nations, like whether that's experiences of racism or prejudice generally, I'll say, or unfriendliness, or the opposite way around. I think the more positive experiences, negative and positive experiences. But I wonder if Asian nations could use imagination and creativity to achieve even more success. I often think, I don't know, I've mentioned this before, but I wonder if China and India could grow their economies even more by utilising like out of the box things, especially what neurodivergent people have. Things like mental illness, people with mental health problems could rebrand it to say, such as myself, to be honest, could rebrand it to say method to the madness and that kind of thing. But yeah, I wonder also, could Asians have more success in sport? Could they fund more sport? I think China and India are trying to get more into sport like football. And I guess sport is a great way to bring people together. And I guess you can still network. Like Donald Trump talks about like golf. I'm not too keen on golf. Well, not a huge fan of Donald Trump either. But especially the wars he's starting. That's a side note. I don't want to offend anyone. But But yeah, football I suppose could be used to network and things like that as well, I guess. But yeah, I hope I didn't forget anything, but I'm going to move on to point number 18. As I say, success stories and support networks and things like that. Agents talk about success stories, things that make them proud to be Asian. Maybe there could be a specific project for like proud to be Asian, and that kind of thing. I know the saying is pride comes before a fall, but I don't mean pride in an arrogant way. I think it'd be more fitting to say like arrogance comes before a fall, but I suppose it wouldn't quite have the ring to it. But I think like to be proud of yourself, but not in an arrogant way. Some people say be proud of who you are. I talked about in point number 11 about like not changing your body or whatever, or me trying to discourage people from changing their body artificially or unnaturally, like with piercings, tattoos, gender realignment, bleaching, or whatever. Um, Easier said than done, I guess. Like if you have deformities or whatever, or if you have something that makes you ashamed, but yeah, maybe trying to be proud of who you are, but again in a positive way. And maybe Asian nations talking about what they can do, what people can do for their own nation, like the saying goes. I can't remember who it was who said, who said, "Ask not what you can do for your nation, but what your nation can do for you." I think it was an American entrepreneur who said that. Not Nelson Mandela. I think it was Dale Carnegie. But anyway, someone said the saying, and it was an American guy, an American entrepreneur, I'm sure, who said, "That's not what your country can do for you. That's not what your nation can do for you, but what you can do for your nation." So people talk about making their nation better. Maybe there's something they want to change about it, they can make it better in Asian nations. And also, again, focusing on Asia, and also, or even Asians overseas, Asians around the world, and giving each other voice and supporting each other and encouraging each other, and doing things that make them proud, like whether that's litter picking or helping the homeless or supporting the less fortunate generally, or animal rights, or whatever it might be, to make the world a better place. And maybe what Asians can contribute to their own personal nations and to each other's nations, to basically to their own nations and to the continent, and to core to the planet more generally, or other nations as well. I think it'd be interesting to see what they can contribute by working together. And also, remembering my chain of thought, sorry, something I was going to say, I've completely forgotten. Yeah, talking about being proud to be Asian, and what makes them proud to be Asian, what they could change and improve. So I forgot completely what I was going to say. Better rights for animals, being more positive, and seeing how they could support each other for more success, and being a force for good and that kind of thing. And the saying that's what I was trying to remember. It really frustrated me then because I couldn't remember it. Forget my train of thought again, but the saying I just quoted there about, or paraquoted, so I can't quite remember the exact same, but ask not what you can do, what your nation can do for you, but what you can do for your nation. Maybe that could apply to the whole continent. Maybe that could be something for all of Asia. Just give me another idea for like the Asian Alliance, which I wish to create one day, ASAP, preferably, maybe in August, my birth month. But they could be like somewhere where it says, "Ask not what you can do for your continent, for the continent of Asia." Sorry, ask not what the continent of Asia could do for you, but what you can do for the continent, something like that. So it could apply to the whole continent. But moving on, number 19, for them to see what Asians can do in STEM, especially science, how they can solve problems, how Asian scientists maybe could collaborate together, projects where Asians collaborate to solve problems through science, tech, engineering, entrepreneurship, languages and communication, maths, business, inventions, and all sorts of things like that. And number 20, I often say like something I normally say that my least favourite saying is respect your elders, and I'm supposed to address the balance I prefer to support younger people, partly because like it makes up for like people supporting older people. And my least favourite, as I say, my least favourite saying is respect your elders, and that kind of thing. And I think anyone who says like, "Excuse me, I'm older than you," or maybe and simply "I'm older than you," or whatever, and gets other people to do their dirty work, to do their errands, especially if they're able-bodied enough to do it, and use their age as an excuse, I think they deserve to be a little bit, or I think they deserve to have a colder. I should be careful what I say, or offend more people, but hopefully I won't offend anyone, but I do wonder sometimes. But I think older people, instead of saying like, I'm older than you, do what I say, respect me, I think should lead by example and be judged to a higher standard. And also, should be careful what I say as well, because I'm older myself. Um, and people might accuse me of the same sort of thing, like expecting other people to do my dirty work or whatever. I'm not a hard-working person, but I do love walking though, so I'm not too hypocritical when I say people should walk to their own kitchen, get their own food and drinks, and put their own dishes away and things like that. And not rely on servants or younger people. But I think older people instead should say lead by example and also mentor and support younger people rather than say, because I'm older than you, should do my dirty work for me, so to speak. And that kind of thing. Anyway, I am out and peace out.